Key modern railways. In-depth railway news.
Hello and welcome to the preview of the Modern Railways January 2022 edition. It's all been happening in the last few weeks, and any minute now Philip and Roger will be telling you just what's in the magazine. I'll just pick up one point. The winning bidder for the HS2 trains has been announced, and as you probably know, it's Alstom/Hitachi. Fair enough. Well, I say fair enough without prejudice to any court hearings. But when the news popped up, it was interesting to see the key performance indicator that the press release concentrated on. Was it how fast these trains will go? How smooth and comfortable they will be? No. The lead item was that they will have 30% more seats than other high-speed trains in Europe. That'll show those crazy Europeans, won't it? What do they know? Anyway, that's my rantlet for the moment, out of the way. Now on to Roger Ford, who's been doing what he does best, which is a detailed reality check on the integrated rail plan. Has he found much reality? Well, here he is now to tell you. Roger.
Well, hello again and season's greetings. This month's Informed Sources covers three different issues where external factors impact on the working railway. You'd think, would you not, that if an enhanced sanding system was developed which ensured reliable step 2 braking under the worst of the teething conditions, that there'd be some urgency to develop it. Well, that was not the case. The Rail Standards and Safety Board had a project to improve adhesion, and tests at the Network Rail Riddick Centre and subsequently on the cross-city lines in Birmingham showed that it would stop trains reliably under the worst of conditions. So the next stage was to run a fleet trial, because it's all very well testing trains with experienced drivers under special conditions, but you can't really be sure it'll work until you've put it to the test. So Porterbrook applied for funding from Network Rail's Performance Improvement Fund, got £4 million, and the aim was to fit this what's called dual variable rate sanding to the Class 323 fleet. The contract was all ready to be signed back in August, and then nothing happened while the arguments went forward, back and forth, trying to improve the contract. And in fact, it was only signed the day before I'm recording this, just before Christmas. So it's happening, but there's been a big delay, and of course it was highlighted by the case at Salisbury, where a train just slid straight past a red light and into another one. Of course, there's more to it than just actually getting it into service, which will start to happen middle of next year, because if you've got a system which you can actually fit to trains, which make them much safer, if you're not fitting it to trains, are you obeying the rule of ALARP, as low as reasonably practical for risk? So that's one of the things I cover. From there, I move on to the integrated rail plan, which of course raised a big storm because of the way it cut back parts of HS2 and so on. Now, as you probably know, Informed Sources hasn't been covering HS2 because to do the job properly would take me away from the day job of actually writing about the railway we've got. But the IRP does include some the East Coast Main Line performance, because if you haven't got all of your HS2 improvements, other parts of the railway have to be upgraded. And the East Coast Main Line has been one of my major topics of interest since I joined Modern Railways pretty well. And it's the claims there are that they can carry more trains and run them much faster, reduce journey times, and it all seems a bit strange. So what I do in the issue is actually work out what the journey times they talk about actually mean in practice and compare them with reality. And the message there really is that they're not that close to reality. There are some upgrades mentioned, and I've managed to pull together a list of those, but the last of those won't be in place until 2037, which is a while away. The final item I go to is one that I commented on some time back, when the Office of Rail and Road announced that it was going to have a market survey of competition, or the lack of competition as it sees it, in the signalling industry. It's noted that it is particularly focused on ETCS fitment, where that's going ahead on the southern end of the East Coast Main Line. And it's looked at it and it's found that, as has been the case since I came into the industry, signalling is dominated by the big 2.5. I go back and explain who these are and how they're developed, but today we have the big two are Alstom and Siemens, who've got 2 framework contracts for regions each, and Hitachi, who've got 1 framework contract. What the ORR says is that network rail procurement should really encourage more people to come into the market. It should encourage network rail to increase the size of the pool from which it recruits. The trouble is that the pool is more of a puddle, because Hitachi has now taken over Ansaudo and Thales, and as far as I can tell, the only European supplier with an ETS system is CAF. So there's a lot of sort of interesting information in the survey, as is often the case, but in real terms, it's unlikely to influence future signalling policy. This month, there's no New Train Tin Watch table of new train performance, because, of course, being January, it's the Modern Railways rolling stock issue, and that includes my fleet reliability review, plus the results of the Golden Spanners Awards. That gives tables covering every train on the network, so I hope that will give you something to keep you busy over the Christmas period. So that's all from me, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.
Thank you, Roger. Okay, now, I mentioned there was a lot of news this month, and with a look at just some of it, here is the editor, Philip Sherratt. Over to you, Philip.
Thanks, Ian, and hello everyone, and greetings of the season to you. It's our January 2022 issue of Modern Railways, and it's a historic time for us because we are entering our 60th anniversary year. Modern Railways began, it was renamed from Trains Illustrated in January 1962. We're more about the 60th anniversary coming up with a few bits in the magazine starting in the February issue, and we are also hoping to get some events organised for celebrations, which we're working on at the moment, so more of that to follow. But in the meantime, what's in the January issue for you? Well, as always in January, it's our rolling stock special, following on from the Golden Spanners, which we held at the end of November, which was a very successful event. It was a great afternoon, gathering people together once again after a hiatus last year. So we all have Roger Ford's rolling stock reliability review, which covers the reliability of all the fleets across the network, and it's filled with tables and interesting data and some interesting commentary to go with it from Roger. Alongside that, Tony Miles reports for us from the Irish Golden Spanners with a couple of updates on rolling stock matters in Ireland. There's been some recent development since then with the contract for the Dart fleet confirmed being built by Alstom, so we'll have more of that to follow. We have a lead feature in the rolling stock section about Wabtec in the UK. Those of you who've followed this news over the recent months will have seen that Wabtec's made quite a few changes. It closed its Kilmarnock site, it's now taken over by Brody Engineering. It's just closed the production facility at Brush Traction, that's happening this month, December, and it also cut some jobs at its Doncaster site. So why are all those changes being made? Well, it's part of the reshaping of Wabtec in the UK, and Group MD Andy Derbyshire has told me all about it, and you can read all of that in the magazine. We also have a trio of accompanying features on rolling stock. One is about preparing the Mark IV carriages for Transport for Wales. TfW's local hauled sets are Class 67s with Mark IVs, but there were some technical challenges to overcome to get those into service, and my colleague Andy Rowan has spoken to DBESG, who are awarded a contract to do that work, and it's quite interesting some of the issues they had to overcome and how they solved them. DBSG were actually due to be presenting at the Golden Spanners conference about that. Unfortunately, the presenter came down with COVID and wasn't able to attend, so we got an article for you instead. But you can also read about the presentations from the Golden Spanners conference, and very shortly you'll be able to also watch them on the website if you're a subscriber. Then we have a couple of articles about depots. One is about Eshes Park in Derby, just down the road from where I am, where there's £30 million worth of work going to be going on to prepare for the arrival of the new Aurora bimode fleet. So explain what's his plan there. And I went up to Gosforth Depot, which is the Tyne and Wear Metro depot on Tyneside. back in November to mark the first phase of the rebuilding there, which is happening to prepare for the new Stadler fleet of trains. So we have a report on what's been done so far and how they're doing the work. Aside from the rolling stock matters, we have a feature on timetabling from Jonathan Tyler. Jonathan wrote for us earlier in the year following the East Coast Main Line, about the East Coast Main Line timetable, which has now been aborted, or at least postponed. And this is a more general article looking at timetabling as a whole and how we can do it better, essentially, thinking of a whole system. So Jonathan's been writing about these things for a number of years, so I hope you'll find that of interest. We also have an article about the rebuilding of Gatwick Station. This is a project that started actually last year. Obviously it's well planned before the pandemic, but this is creating extra space on the concourse. My colleague James Abbott went to have a look at how that's progressing. That's due to finish, be fully completed in 2023, when hopefully international travel will be back to something like normal. It's been a very busy time for news. Obviously headlining that is the Integrated Rail Plan, which was published in November. So we have coverage of that in our news pages. There's also some commentary variously. Alan Williams takes a particularly close look at it. And Roger's got his particular analysis about the implications for the East Coast Main Line. So there will obviously be more to say about that in the months to come. We also reflect further on Oakhampton, the reopening of that, which we sort of previewed because we had to write the article before we signed off the last issue. Well, now it's open. Grant Shapps has been and performed the official ceremony, so we've a report on that and also the reopening prospects elsewhere in the southwest. And in a community connections column, Vicky Pipe has, she went and travelled on the line shortly after it opened, and she assesses what difference it's going to make for the town and for the local community. And we also have some new rolling stock, and that's the Class 231s from Transport for Wales. Been built by Stadler. The first 2 Flirt diesel units have been delivered. Rodri Clark went over to see those at Cardiff Canton Depot, so you can read the report about those and see the photos of them. And we also had the announcement of the award of the contract for the High Speed 2 trains to the joint venture of Hitachi and Alstom, which we report on, and we'll be looking to do more about that also in the months to come. So it's a very busy time, there is lots going on. There's much more besides that in the magazine, which I hope you enjoy. So I hope it gives you some good Christmas reading. For now, all the best for the festive season. And a quick reminder, from the February issue, our HS2 quarterly feature goes to subscribers only. So if you normally buy the magazine off on the newsstand, but you want to get hold of the HS2 bit, I urge you to get your subscription sorted. You need to do that by sort of early to mid-January to secure your February issue, and you can do that in print or online or the digital page turner. So a very Merry Christmas to you, all the best, and I look forward to seeing you again in 2022.
Thank you, Philip. And that just leaves me to talk about my Pan Up column. Well, I've tried to lighten the mood a bit. We get frustrated as railway people because we know that when railways are done well, they can be a great asset. They can provide a comfortable journey while at the same time being environmentally friendly. And if only we could do that for a bit less money, we'd be really getting somewhere. Back in January 2009, I wrote Reasons to be Cheerful, where I came up with a list of 12 things about the railway which I liked. So I thought it'd be a good time to update that list. It won't surprise you to hear that quite a few of the things are no longer with us. But I have come up with some new ones which I hope will bring a warm glow over the festive season. I won't spoil it for you, but it is funny to think that only 13 years ago you could enjoy a full 3-course meal with wine on a service train on the East Coast, gliding smoothly along the cliff tops. Last time I went, the view over the North Sea, just north of Berwick, was still a joy, but the burnt sausage roll was a bit of a come down. Anyway, I feel like I should sign off with things can only get better, but we'll see how it goes in the next year, shall we? All the best, bye.
Visit www.keymodernrailways.com for more interesting and essential information about the British Railway Network.